So we're going to do a few practice problems on pages 16 and 17, and this has to do with the fractions, decimals, and percents. So hopefully we can cut down the time you have to listen to me jabber. So anyway, for 1 through 6, you are naming those fractions as percents. So if you remember, anytime you have a fraction that's over 100, so like number 1 is 23 over 100, you want to change that to a percent. If it's over 100, you just drop the 100 and put a percent on it. That's pretty much it for that. When you've got a decimal, like number 2, the way you change that to a percent is you just move the decimal place 2 to the right and put a percent sign. Okay, so that's the way you do a fraction and a decimal. Now in number 6, that one is a little tricky because it's just a 9. Well, what did we do here? We moved the decimal place over. The decimal is actually right there. We don't show it because there's nothing really to show. It's just 9. And if we move the decimal place over 1, 2, then we've got a 0 here and a 0 here. So 9 becomes 900%. So all percentages, like this 63, from 0 to 100%, are always decimals with all the numbers to the right of the decimal sign. If we have a number like this to the left, we have to add 2 zeros onto it, and that gives us our percentage. All right, so number 7 through 12, we're taking a fraction, it looks like, changing it to a decimal, and then changing that to a percent. So if you remember, we take something like a fraction and we divide. 1 divided by 4. Okay, so remember, the top number you say first, and then you say divided by. That's what the symbol means, and that's when you write this sign. And then divided by what? 4, and then the 4 goes out here. So you're going to go and do your actual division there, and you're going to get a decimal. So you'll end up with 0.25 as your decimal. And then to change that percent, just like we did up here with 0.63, we move the decimal place over 2 and put a percent on it. So we have 25%. And when you get something like number 10, where it's 3 1/2, you have to change it to an improper fraction. If you remember how to do that, you take the 3 times the 2 and then add the top number and then put it over this number here. I know it's kind of confusing. 3 times 2 plus 1 over whatever the denominator is, and that makes it an improper fraction there. Okay, so if it's as an improper fraction, like on, which one is this, number 10, then you do your division. 7 divided by 2, and you end up with 3, 6, 1, bring down your 0, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So you end up with 3.5. Now we're going to change that to a percent. Move it over twice. 1, 2. So we moved it over to the end of the 0, and we have 350% for that answer. All right. So rename as a decimal. 24%, 2.8%, 18%. All you're doing is moving the decimal place over 2 to the left from wherever it is. So remember, 24%, the decimal is actually right here. So we're going to move it over 2 places to the left. So 0.24. And that's how you do all those. 19 to 24, they give you a percentage, and they're asking you to write it as a fraction. Well, a fraction, when you change a percent to a fraction, you just take off the percent and put it over 100, then reduce. So I like to reduce like 20 over 50, and that reduces to 10 over 25. 5 goes into both of those, and that's as reduced as you can go. So numbers 25 to 36. Remember a while ago I said that if you have the word of, that means multiply. 10% of 40 times 40. And also remember, you never can do math with a percent. You can never add, multiply, divide, subtract, whatever with a percent. You have to get rid of the percent sign. So we have to take the 10%, move the decimal over 2, and it makes it into a decimal. Then we can multiply it by 40. And that's the way all of those are. Let's look at 36 real quick, since of course the teacher always does the easy ones and leaves the hard ones to you. Of 39. Okay, so we're going to change this to a decimal. So 33, and then we just take the fraction. 1 divided by 3. And that ends up being 0.33. So all we're doing is tagging the decimal of 1/3 onto the 33. Now we multiply that by 39 and get our answer. All right, as you look at the story problems on page 17, we've got, let's look at number 40. Sports watch originally cost $144. It is now being sold for 85% of its original price. Okay, there's the key there. 85% of times its original price. What was the original price? Right there. So all we're doing is multiplying those. How much does the watch cost now? 85% times 144. So remember, we can't multiply times a percent. We have to put that into decimal form, then multiply it. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Be on the lookout for the word of, especially 42 is the same way. 41, 39. It takes care of 35 miles walk to school. It takes Sue 80% of Kara's time. 80% times Kara's time, which is 35 minutes. Okay, so just remember to look at the of signs there. And that's it for the practice problem 16 and 17.